That's it, all, we're missing June.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Is there any public participation?
Regarding?
Seeing none,
Hold on. Somebody
oh,
said
somebody,
something. Somebody said regarding. Anything not on the agenda, right?
But this is the agenda.
You have anything?
oh. Do you have an extra copy of the agenda? You can
do.
share with,
Yeah.
I've got 2 left, there we go.
Ah,
One per row.
that's
we're
right.
fighting now.
Yeah, somebody can have this one too if you need it.
Sorry, could I?
Kind of cheat off you. We got Joanne's too.
All right, yeah.
Let the budget committee have it.
There's one under here, somebody can have things here.
Anyone else want an agenda? We have one more. All right, to consider approval of the May 4th, 2023 school committee meeting minutes as written or with corrections as recommended by the superintendent of schools.
Make a motion, we accept them as written.
Do I have a second? I'll second. All in favor? Vote.
I just had one,
Oh.
just one statement I wanted to make.
Okay.
Mr. Johnson, and you can, or I can tell the next superintendent, anything that I speak about in relation to LCOC, I'd like to have it in the minutes.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion?
Nope.
All in favor of approving the minutes?
Vicky, you were absent.
Oh, you're absent. How about you?
So, yeah.
So 3. Okay, principals report?
I think this has to go under new business. I was gonna ask for approval of the handbooks, there's no changes. I just thought that would be something I would get done.
Yeah, so if it pleases the board, under adjustments to the agenda, we can write approve the handbook and just tack it on.
Again. Did everybody sign this?
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay, nothing else in the report? School committee? Anything? Vicky?
Yes, we, Tuesday night, we had the athletic banquet, and, I was there along with Wanda, and I felt that, I think there was around 100 showed up, between parents and students, and it went, I think Katie and her staff down there for help did an absolute fabulous job.
It was wonderful. Yeah. It really is.
You know, that they did the whole entire sports year, and it was a really good job. Hope to see it again, same thing next year.
Thank you. I'd just like to add to thank all the staff too for staying over. I know that was a long day for you, but that was a wonderful, it really was a wonderful program. Yeah.
The only other thing I got is we installed the poles for the school speed sign yesterday. Also, I'll be in contact with an electrician to finish
Come on,
that
my girl.
as soon as I know the concrete set.
I had a couple of things. I wondered what you were doing today. I just had a couple of things, Jane. I wondered where we were at with our plan of correction on the building.
The items that were listed in the report are ones that can be accomplished quite readily. Things like don't link extension cords. don't have things that could fall off a shelf that's too high. Those things were addressed immediately after the report. Other items that are planned for facilities maintenance, such as the backflow valve, which we've talked about, those are budgeted for. Most of the items on the punch list were minor. That was a good report, but it was certainly not perfect. The minor ones can be accomplished quickly, and truthfully, at the end of the year, teachers start dismantling their classrooms. So the personal little hot water heater that sits on the desk so the teacher can have tea or coffee or something that technically shouldn't be there, those will be out the door in a matter of days, but
Did they
those
have a
other items
deadline?
are taken care of.
So we met the deadline of whatever.
Yep.
Okay.
That inspection is, I wanna say it's an annual thing.
And I was wondering, did you get a cost yet on the tiles for the LCOC?
I don't have that information with me. I think we've got the cost, I just don't have it with me.
And we talked earlier about, staff for this year, for subbing on cleaning. And I'm not saying that these guys do not do a good job, because I've been down there and they do, but it needs a deep clean. And I think that there'll be sub cleaners, but I think we need to pay them what they're worth. I mean, on outside jobs cleaning now, they get a pretty good salary. They'll be part-time, and I feel they need to be paid accordingly.
This was part of the thing, Wanda, that I agree with you on, and maybe it's not as far as how you look at it on what they're worth, but we definitely have the need to have people down there.
Yeah.
I feel that we're moving in the right direction, and I hate to see us either stop, because I personally feel that that's what's happened in the past to put us in the position that we're at right now. But in the last year, especially in the last 6 months of us having the issues that we've had down there, everybody's banded together really well, and we're moving forward and taking care of issues as they arise. And if we can take this summer season where the school is empty and do some of the cleaning, do some of the work, maintenance to the building that needs to be done, is part of the reason why I feel that the adjustments that we've made in the budget warrants that increase, as long as we get somebody to do the work. Obviously, if we can't, or we don't, then I would say, we failed, because it needs to be done.
Well,
And
the
if we've got
pictures-
people that want to do it,
Yeah.
then I think it's a win-win, and we do whatever it takes to get them in there.
The photos that you brought in that meeting, Dick, I don't understand how our school got that far. But all of that stuff needs to be addressed, and make sure it doesn't come to that again, because that, to me, was an unsafe environment for our staff and for our students.
Fortunately, it was some of these locations that was in, it's not frequented by, right. So I think that, is it right and is it okay? No.
No,
But,
no.
and I think that we can keep continuing to move along as long as we do address those.
And I'll say it probably for the 10th time, those locker rooms, I'm ashamed the way they look.
They're on the schedule for this summer.
Oh, good deal.
Looking at the
Because
lady right there.
that's who sees our school, every school that comes down in those locker rooms, and they are disgraceful. I mean, I don't know if they're safe for mold or whatever, he said that they are.
Okay,
Yeah, thank you, Jane.
so we're done?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have anything, Joanne?
Well, I just had, Billy Ashby called me about G1, and he would like to, have this go into executive session. He's not gonna be here, he's working. But he
Okay,
would
well,
like me to explain what.
Well, I guess I would have to say, he's not an employee now,
Right,
so I don't know why we would wanna go into executive session.
well, we don't have to, I just, brought that up, he would like to,
Is he gonna be at this meeting?
no.
Hard to when you work.
No,
Is he gonna be, I mean,
No,
it's
I
up
can
to the board.
tell you what he would like
Okay, so wait, I would just say, save it for number one.
Right,
and
okay,
if-
we can do that.
If something is going to approach a violation of confidentiality, then we can get into executive session, but let's wait and see what happens.
It's not, because he wanted me to do it, and I
Okay.
said, no problem.
Okay.
Okay, is that?
Yeah.
Is that, thank you. All right, Ken?
So I've got several things in my report tonight, and some of these, well, I'll just start with a few things. So, the first piece of information I'm gonna share with you is what I'm calling a procedural checklist. Knowing that this is my last meeting, I'm trying to leave a trail of breadcrumbs for my successor.
When will we know who the successor is?
I wouldn't wanna speculate.
I can say a few words about that. We, the committee, the AOS committee responsible for.
I've got one
hiring
free copy, I need
superintendent
one to
and
read.
training
Somebody with a burning
yesterday.
desire.
And our first slate of interviews was gonna take place Monday,
Well, this Monday.
this Monday on Eastport. And we do have multiple applicants, so it's
For our school?
for the superintendent.
Okay.
So what we have here is a checklist of, this is a procedural process, and this is a copy of an email exchange. If you see my email to Renee and Greg, well, Renee is your town manager, and Greg is your attorney at Drummond and Woodson. So I would just say that this checklist, as I'm calling it, this has been done in consultation with your town manager and also your legal services. So, tonight, we're gonna be signing a warrant for a referendum, but I also have sample ballot language that you don't need to sign right now, that I'm gonna leave with the town. It's gonna be updated after we open bids, but here we go. Today's June 1st, school board opens bids, that's on the agenda. Enter lowest bid in blank on draft referendum. I have draft copy with me. Sign at the appropriate place, okay. Select board, sign the same warrant, there's a place for them to sign. Tina's gonna post, her name is listed appropriately on the warrant lingo. Must be a hearing, Monday, July 10th. We've got to avoid the 4th of July in order, if we're gonna have a fair representation of the citizens in the town. Date of referendum, August 1, coinciding with municipal elections. That's not only a cost saver, it's a convenience thing for your town officials, so they don't have to generate two separate ballots and go through that rigmarole twice. Final adoption of your school budget by voters, just 7-day posting period after the results of the referendum are known. So, I'm asking all of you to keep this where you know where it is. I've got complete confidence that my next successor is going to be right on top of things, but let's be helpful. So I'm generating a transition folder in my office, so I'm sharing the information. So if you're curious what's gonna happen tonight, we're gonna open bids. You're going to accept the lowest bid, because you have to, based on the dollar value. And then we're gonna sign the warrant. There are 2 places for you folks to sign. And we'll just literally write in the amount of the bid that we adopt on the blank. So it's write in the number and sign. There's the checklist. Next item, this is not necessarily, well, it's kind of the same thing. Just so we know, at the last meeting, it was moved, seconded specifically to request full roof replacement with a flat membrane style roof. This is a copy of the ad that was posted. This is what was submitted to the KVJ. Happy to say it's a good idea. We submitted to the KVJ because we have 2 interested parties that responded from the Boston area. So we got to cast a wider net. But nonetheless, this is the wording of the ad. So you have a copy of how that went. What else have I got down here? Oh, my favorite. How could I forget?
Oh, yay.
Yes. Yeah, you can say that again.
That took a while.
Yeah.
So this is your audit. I know John likes to have one. This is a little heavier this year, John. There's some other pages in there because of the presence of the federal money. They had to go a little more in depth with the special revenue. What I'm distributing is my typical copy of the general fund, so we can take a look-see at that, and you can see your financial position. Got a couple stuff here, thank you, Joe. So if you want to take a quick look at the one-pager, all the way over to the actual column, if you look down where it says fund balance, ending fund balance at the bottom of that third column, $516,538. That is how much money is in your general fund as of June 30th, 2022. Realize, members of the budget committee. We'll share the wealth. So, this number is an important number because that is the same pool of money that we draw from in your budget when it says fund balance forward. So if you have a copy of your budget from our previous discussion, and you look inside page 1, you can see in the current year, FY23, we committed 150. For next year, we are projecting to use, at least at the moment, 250. 150 and 250 is $400,000. Your audit says you have $516,000 available. So you can indeed continue to use 250 as we planned. The last thing I would say about it is a year from now, when you're putting together yet another budget, there will be yet another audit. So if you do some quick subtraction, 516 minus the 400 that we've got committed leaves 116. But then you have to add in whatever we pull through in this year's budget, because your audit runs a year behind. So that's the result of the FY22 audit. The FY23 audit, they'll start doing the addition and subtraction in October. So yes, you can see that there's $116,000 undesignated. And then you're going to add in whatever we pull through this year in FY23. So I'm happy to say that the auditor's advice to continue the planning process using your internal numbers, because we've used the same auditor for 6 or 7 years now, and they've been impressed with the performance of my staff. We were able to continue, and we don't need to change that number any. So we're in a good position to continue along. Finally, well, not necessarily finally, I got a couple pieces of not so good news. I have received notification from our insurance carrier, Patriot Insurance. It says that we are being dropped. Notice of non-renewal. You are hereby notified, in accordance with terms and conditions of the above policy, and in accordance with Maine law, that your insurance will expire and will not be renewed. Reason? Adverse loss experience. You are being dropped by your insurance carrier because essentially you made a claim.
That's right.
Well, for as good as they returned on us, I don't.
Easy.
So if you're curious, your agent has contacted my office and he's looking around, but be advised, Patriot Insurance has dropped you.
As of when?
And when the policy expires, I want to say that's June 30th.
Last June 30th
No,
or next?
this coming June 30th.
This month.
Yeah, like 30 days,
29 days.
I think. I'd have to look at the policy to be sure, but I'm pretty sure it's June 30th.
Can I just ask what we pay per year for Mr. Johnson for the, do you have that?
It's pricier than it used to be. Insurance rates have gone up. I better not say. We've got a couple lines in your budget for insurance. One's property insurance, one's bus insurance, one is board member liability insurance. So I don't want to say, but call Chad and he can tell you.
So it's not illegal to do that, huh?
No.
I thought you had to be put in a pool, a risk pool.
Well, they must think our risk is high. I don't know. But there it is in black and white. Finally, also more bad news. I regret to report I have received and hereby accept the resignation of Patty Dealman. says that the students she drove to Washington Academy were very polite and respectful, and that she will return the bus to Lubec Elementary School on June 16th. We are sorry that Patty's services will come to an end, but we wish her well.
Yeah.
That's all I have in my report for this evening.
Mr. Johnson, can I ask, on the, in the town too, Carol, on, when do we expect our town meeting and our school meeting?
Well, my understanding is your referendum on August 1st, which means your town meeting is August 2nd, right?
Okay, August 2nd. And we'd be a week later?
Well, once you know the results of your referendum, because, and I'm glad you asked, because there are a couple of options that could happen. You gotta have a hearing, that's just question and answer, okay. The hearing's gotta be at least 7 days before the referendum, so July 10th, August 1st satisfies that requirement. You gotta have at least a 30-day posting for a referendum, and it would be 60 if the town was doing it, but because it's our business and we're an RSU, it's 30, and that's what your lawyer has established. So if the select board signs the warrant at their next meeting, July 7th, then still having the referendum on August 1st is more than 30 days, so you're fine. So that timeline works. But if the vote is no on the roof at that referendum, you would have the option to massage the budget a little, which means maybe you'd want to call a meeting, or, well, you wouldn't have to call a meeting, you have one scheduled in August anyway, but my point is, if the vote is no, you can revisit the budget and re-adopt the budget, because whenever you re-adopt the budget, if it has to be re-adopted, you still gotta do a 7-day posting and call for the school budget hearing, and that's the school budget vote, when people come and vote on the school budget.
And there's enough time to do that.
And there's enough time to schedule that. So if it's yes on August 1st, you can just proceed with this budget, but you still have to observe a 7-day notification for a budget vote meeting. So if you're wondering what the next date might be, the fastest would be August 8th, would be the fastest. And that's part of the reason I gave you the checklist ready as well.
So I guess my question for you, Ken, is,
Sure.
Would you entertain an invitation for the July 10th hearing?
Yeah, I have to say that I would be extremely reluctant, Dickie, for a couple of reasons. First, I don't have the legal underpinning to represent the town, and I have to be careful of that. I mean, I've been your superintendent for 8 years, and obviously I know what's going on, and I know the history, but there's a question of whether or not, my influence, I don't know, my presence, my, experience with the situation, I don't know if that's appropriate for me to use that when I'm not your employee. Yeah, I don't necessarily have the legal authority to represent you after June 30th.
Would it be a representation, or would it be?
What I hope happens, I hope I'm able to transition with your next superintendent, because this will be like number one on the list because of the procedure, and this is a high ticket item in a town that there's a lot riding on it.
Right.
So I hope to transition with your next superintendent, and that's really the other reason. Now, I have to say, my first meeting as your superintendent 8 years ago, the former superintendent was in the room. And that was uncomfortable, because when questions came up, I was the new kid on the block, so who did everybody turn to ask questions? They turned to the former superintendent, who was sitting right in the front row, and I felt about that high. So that's not a good situation for your next superintendent to be in, and that was a rather unpleasant meeting. I'll spare you the details of what happened after that.
Mr. Johnson, if I may point out, I was at that meeting,
You were at that.
and you comported yourself well.
Well, thank you. I was like a duck, John, calm and cool on the surface and really paddling underneath.
That didn't show.
That didn't show, well, thank you. So I appreciate the invite, Dickie, but it would take an extreme turn of events, really, I think, to bring me down from 10.
I guess I was just looking at on the aspect of, the audience having questions,
Yeah.
and for somebody that, with knowledge other than the board itself, that's been involved with this so should we have an earlier hearing?
Well, the problem with that lies is, we're gonna open bids tonight. I think you can have the earlier hearing, but you've got the 4th of July in there somewhere. And we're gonna open up bids and make some decision tonight. I think you wanna be careful about your time frame.
Okay.
So, this time frame works. I've spoken with Renee, she's got it on her calendar.
I think it's 30 days after the whole thing is signed, so our
Yep.
meeting's June 7th, and then July 10th is the 30 days. I don't think you can have the hearing earlier than it's, that everybody's signed it.
Gotcha.
That's a good point. Thank you for that clarification.
Dick, you're quite knowledgeable about what's been going on.
Well, I am, but you know, it's,
And in,
you know, in the heat of the moment,
Yeah,
it's not to the point, I don't wanna forget something,
yeah.
you know?
You won't.
I don't wanna forget what the important factors of
Have them right
what's
there.
happening.
and just so the group knows, when I passed this copy of the bid out, it says in bold at the bottom, pending results of referendum vote. So the respondents know that there's still gonna be a community vote. So that technicality was taken care of also. That's all I have in my report for this evening.
All right, thank you, Ken. Are there any adjustments to the agenda aside from,
We have two. Joe has informed me that he has an event at his school tonight, so I would recommend moving number 3 up to number 1, because I would like the full board to vote on the bids that we received.
okay,
And Tina also needs to vote to approve the handbook.
okay,
So-
I'll
we
make
did
the
that, put that
motion on the handbook.
Okay, we can do both of those at the
Yeah.
same time. We just,
I'll
The-
move,
The staff, the student, and the athletic handbook.
Yeah.
okay, right, and, just motion. Okay, second. All in favor?
Thank you.
Okay. Any old business? All right, new business. Consider a discussion on roof replacement bids.
3 bids?
Great. Drum roll, please.
Can I ask Mr. Johnson, where did Eastport get this, out of Massachusetts?
I can share that information because Eastport has accepted bids, voted to accept, it's in the public domain as far as Eastport is. They
Yeah.
did accept the lowest bid, and that was from a bidder from Massachusetts.
I'll do mine first. Mine is Newcomb Construction. Installation of A.B. Martin 24 gauge standing seam metal roofing over existing membrane roofing. Installation will include, it goes on and on and on, $75 for, anyway, for a total of $600,000.
That's metal.
That is standing seam metal roofing
Does that include an
over
analysis?
existing membrane roofing.
Does that include an analysis of the building? to make
Okay,
sure it
so
can-
I would have to say this, your ad specifically said membrane, and the reason it said membrane is because that was the specific motion, second, and vote of this board. So,
So here's
I believe that you would be required to reject that bid for not
That's right.
matching the specs.
That's right.
All right, I'll go next. All right, here is a Triumph Roofing from Baldwinville, Massachusetts. There's 2 options. Option A, remove existing EPDM, refasten existing insulation, replace any set insulation for $5 per square foot. New mechanically attached TPO, hurricane bar attached around perimeter for high winds. New 100-mile-per-hour edge metal flash all penetrations, $415,000. There's option B,
Is that a round number, 415?
it just says $415,000.
Okay.
Option B, remove existing EPDM, remove existing insulation down to existing deck. So this is actually removing the insulation, new insulation to match existing, new mechanically attached TPO, hurricane bar attached around perimeter for high winds, new 100-mile-per-hour edge metal, flash hole penetrations. So the difference between these two is in option B actually replaces all the insulation. And that one is $795,000. However, in option A, it says replace any set insulation for $5 per square foot, so I think that would be in addition to the 415.
Okay. If that's how you're interpreting it.
What do you think?
Yeah.
You said that was insulation, replacement was insulation?
Yeah, so the difference between the two options is that, they would refasten existing installation and replace any set insulation for $5 per square foot, and then option B would be to remove the existing insulation and replace it.
Vicky, quick question, what's the square footage of the roof?
So it's a billion.
Well, that's
I
not
had it,
final bid.
I got it somewhere.
I got it right here someplace.
You know what, Ken, that would be a final bid.
No, because if they look down and they see something that needs to be replaced,
Yeah.
that's
But
what
they,
they
find out
this one here's got
problematic.
55,000 square feet.
How much?
55,000 square feet,
So,
55?
Who's that one from, Dickie?
This is from LGR1 Inc. out of Lowell, Mass.
Who again? RGL?
LGR1.
LGR1 Inc. out of Lowell, Mass. And they have supplied us with a lot of references, insurance,
this is the only one.
that's just to, because they have,
Reference.
because they have the square foot.
this one is, and it's got a, and they sent a, it's Carlisle Syntec Systems. So they did send brochures on what they would do. And it says re-roof approximately 55,000 square feet at the Lubec Elementary School. Cut and remove 5 by 5 areas, one for every 100 square feet to prevent existing roof and inspect insulation for damage or moisture. Install 2 layers of 2 by 6 pressure treated around the perimeter and where needed to match additional insulation. Install 3 inches of insulation mechanically, fasten to it a heave 110 mile-an-hour wind speed. Install Carlisle .060 fully adhered membrane per specifications. Flash all units and project per manufacturer's details. Install new 400 metal, 040 metal with hook strip color by owner. Clean all debris from the job site. Supply owner with a 20-year non-disclosure Carlisle warranty. Additional cost to replace existing insulation will be $1 per square foot per inch. All hoisting, OSHA safety, insurances, permits, and closeout to be supplied by LGR1. Total cost is $495,000.
Can somebody do the math on the 55,000 of what they want extra on this one?
On this one?
Yeah, 'cause
5 times 55 is $265,000.
so that would make that over 600,000.
If they had to do it all.
You
Yeah,
had to replace it all.
yeah.
Did any of the other ones come with a warranty? This one gave a 20-year warranty, right?
Yes.
This didn't say anything about a warranty, this Triumph
This
roofing.
doesn't even.
I know when I had a piece replaced by Roof Systems of Maine, I did have to pay additional money for a
Why do you
15-year
suppose they
warranty.
didn't?
Well, I can't speculate as to why they submitted the bids that they did. I would just say this, a representative from all 3 of those companies called me personally. Actually, one pulled up next to me while I was eating my lunch. And, you know, they're very interested, you know, they reached out to me and so
Who's doing esports?
Triumph got the bid in Eastport.
Triumph.
And they did a job in Machias last summer, a
Okay.
partial roof replacement on a section of
That's
road
these
capital
guys,
last summer.
okay.
And so on their bid though, they don't say anything about warranty or, so,
I can't speculate too far into it. I mean, when I say they called me, it was, you know, the president of Triumph intended to be here this morning, and he had car trouble, and he called me at like 10 o'clock, and he'd made it as far as Orono from wherever he said he was from. So, I mean, and the person from LGR1 called me on the phone yesterday afternoon, and I was at my son's Little League practice. So you've got two companies from Massachusetts that are reaching out to me
Yeah.
personally.
Wait, wanna look at this, or?
Good for them, and of course Newcomb is a local contractor anyway from
Yeah.
Perry, so.
I'll make a
Excuse me,
motion.
couldn't you just put up a list of questions that you need to have answered from these companies?
Okay.
Send it out to them, and they come up with the answer, because you've got questions on each one of these companies.
So at this,
Well, Rachel, our question is which one was the lowest bidder and which
That's
one
not-
wanted to do what we
that's
wanted them
not either
to.
one of them.
Yeah, lowest bidder is one thing, but
Yeah.
doing an excellent job is another,
Yeah.
you know, so you need to, as long as all these questions could be answered in the
Yeah.
affirmative, then you'll know.
So,
To me,
oh, go ahead, Dick.
to me, anybody that would wanna look at these is, if anybody was interested, wanted to send a bid in to do the job that we're asking for, and would send this, a stack of papers like this right here, compared to a single sheet of paper right here, knows exactly what they're doing. This is what I'm interested in, more than I'm interested in this right here.
So just to kind of fill in the conversation, because some, two of those bids were emailed to me, so I had an idea what it was gonna be. In the case of procedurally, you would have to disqualify the metal because it didn't follow the bid specification.
Right.
And that's why, at our last meeting, I specifically asked of my board, you gotta tell me metal or membrane, you gotta tell me full or partial. And the minutes show what it was, and the ad reflects what the motion and vote was, and okay. So metal is not in the equation. If for some reason you wanted to make a large wholesale change to the project, you would have to reject all bids and put it back out to bid again to make sure you're treating the bidders fairly. And that would just delay the process. You could do it, I guess, but that would delay the process. So, for me, I'm looking at $415, $795, or $495. And not wanting to leave you with a problem, I was talking to your, the same attorney, Greg, while I was driving over. And I said that if there's an A or B option on a bid, and somebody else only bids one option, I said, my recommendation to my board, and I'm making it right now, is to try and compare apples and apples. And he agreed with that. If you think that the 415 bid is not the same as the 495 bid, or if you think that the 495 bid and the 795 bid are more the same, then compare apples and apples. When you don't take the lowest bid, and this is the one caveat that your lawyer had, if you don't take the lowest one, you can't absolutely guarantee that somebody isn't gonna get bent out of shape and call you and yell and scream, or call me and yell and scream. But he was comfortable with my advice, try and compare apples and apples. So if somebody is replacing insulation and somebody isn't replacing insulation, then you try and compare apples and apples.
So is this guy replacing it?
You want,
Yeah, 'cause he said put 3 inches of commercial, yeah, is what
Plus
it
he's
said.
offering a warranty on it.
Yes,
Insurance.
Yep.
I mean,
The one that Vicky had was most, one he read was most, wasn't including the insulation from what I thought I would heard.
It says install 3 inches insulation mechanically fashioned.
it's quoted down there, what, as far as
It was extra.
additional cost,
Yes, additional cost
that's
to
not
us.
low.
that if,
Wait a minute,
So we would have 5,500 square feet at additional cost for the insulation.
no, that's, you're thinking of, this one.
no, right here,
No,
read
right there.
this.
It's the big one.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Right there.
Additional cost to replace it, you're absolutely right, okay. So that
So
would
if
be,
we was to have to replace,
And if it's been wet, it will need to be
Addition,
replaced
right.
because there'll be black mold in it.
so it could cost $55,000 more than
in the bids.
roughly.
And
So that's still not the cheapest.
No,
what,
Okay, so that's
what was the other one that you got on 511?
550.
It was 415 plus, how much
Dickie's
did
had a
you say?
replacement cost too for.
I thought the 415 bid said $5 a square foot.
Yes,
for
it
insulation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And what did Dickie say?
$1.
So,
yeah,
$1 per inch.
Plus,
So
there
it's
was
still
two
cheaper.
layers of PT around the edge.
Yes.
yeah.
So dollar an inch at 3 inches.
Well, wait a minute, this says a dollar, this doesn't make any sense to me. Dollar per square foot per inch.
Yeah, that's
So
what,
the
I,
square
when
foot-
you read that, that
a
made no
square
sense
foot,
to
an
me
inch
either.
thick.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, the
So if
thickness?
you're doing a square foot by 3 inches, you're talking $3.
$3,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay,
Still
so these
cheaper
guys
than
are $5 per square
Yeah.
foot.
Still cheaper than 5.
Yeah,
they're very similar.
still the
Yep.
cheapest bid.
Except for the warranty.
The warranty,
Warranty.
to me, for what we've got going
Yeah.
on, is
Yeah.
priceless.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay, so basically, I think that worst case scenario, this one would be 550K. This one would be 680, if you had to replace all the insulation on both of them. So this is actually the lowest bid.
and it's a better
And it's,
warranty.
I make a motion, we accept it.
Yeah.
LGR.
I'll second it.
Incorporated.
Yeah.
All right, all in favor?
So that was Wanda and Dicky.
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna write up a contract with the specifics?
Good question. So the next step in the process, after accepting a bid, is indeed to have a contract. And that is the next step in the process. And the contract will specify out a few more things.
Yeah.
But that is the next step.
And just to clarify, the company name is LGI1?
LGR,
LGR.
LGR1,
And is that number one or the word?
number one, yeah, LGR1, so you,
Was the vote unanimous?
Yes.
Let's see if, oh, yeah, there you go.
So, with that action, now you know why I said we may be adopting an amended budget.
Yeah.
Because you have a $100,000 line item in your budget that was designed to pay off $1 million project in 10 years. If your project's only gonna cost $495,000, if it was, I'm your superintendent, I'm gonna say, well, you know, let's not put exactly $49,500 on the line, let's put like $60,000 on the line and cut it by 40 just in case something happens. So instead of planning on $1 million budget, let's plan on a $600,000 budget and cut $40,000 off the line, is what I would recommend. But you can see what my recommendation is.
yep,
Okay.
makes sense.
I never thought I'd think $495,000 was cheap.
Yeah.
That's the world we live in.
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Glad upset.
Are we going, is that the next thing you're gonna do? Amend the agenda, amend that budget?
I mean, Joe, I think it's pretty obvious we're gonna amend that budget. If you have to skedaddle, I mean, go ahead, that's
No
fine.
speeding.
We can take it from here, thank you, Joe.
It's only speeding if someone sees you.
Good recommendation.
Be careful.
Protect the woods.
I agree with you. Okay.
Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you all.
Okay, so where are we? So, we're at Bill Ashby now. then.
Actually, can we do the other adjustment just to approve the handbooks?
Mm-hmm.
Thought we
We
did.
did, we voted on it.
You did, it was all
Wanda
under
made the motion, Joanne did a second,
It was
it's
5-0.
5-0, and that's the staff, student, and athletic handbook.
Okay, my mistake. So it was Wanda and Joanne?
Yep. 5-0.
not have any insurance and take.
Okay. We did
I've
that.
got it too.
Too much for everyone.
Yep,
So I just wanted to explain those reasons.
okay, yes, we're at Mr. Ashby.
Yeah.
All right, to consider appointing Billy Ashby, PE Life Sports Skills Teacher for the 2023-2024 school year.
All right, Mr. Ashby has mentioned to me and actually called me about a situation that he would like to talk over and would hopefully like to get approved. He would like to go up to tier 14, and that would be 64,000, and he would lose his insurance,
Okay, well,
if he
So
can
that's-
do that.
So is that an executive session?
no,
thing, or-
so I have to say that we have a collective bargaining agreement in place,
Mm-hmm.
and
That,
if I were to grant that request, that's a grievance waiting to happen. Because,
that's why I asked to do it in executive session, but.
well, I mean, the hiring somebody
asked me
is
to.
an open session, the collective bargaining agreement is a
Whatever's
public
whatever,
document.
I'm telling what he would like to have, and, you know, I'm just saying it.
You're just the messenger.
Okay, well,
Don't shoot the messenger.
if Mr. Ashby was sitting right there, I would say that he's free to negotiate salary with me.
Mm-hmm.
And your role as a board is whether or not to hire this gentleman, yes, no, maybe. And he can negotiate salary with me. But I don't mind saying to my board that we've got a collective bargaining agreement and I'm gonna look at that. The thing that makes it really an easy decision for me is that he worked for us 2 years ago.
Mhm.
So all I have to do is just add 2 years of experience and that will be his salary. So one thing at a time.
Yeah.
You can vote tonight to hire him, and you fulfilled your role. And he can follow up with me to talk about salary negotiations, which is much more appropriate than going around me to ask a special favor of my board.
Okay.
What is, so if you do this, then he doesn't have to accept it, because I'd like to make a motion to hire Bill pending all of this.
Okay, so you're on the right track, it doesn't need to be that complicated, Wanda. If you support Mr. Ashby coming to this position, vote in favor, and you leave it up to me to negotiate with him. And he can accept our offer or say, no, thank you, but let's not muddy the water. So
Okay, so-
you can vote to do it, but we have a CBA in place.
So do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, in a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
You know, Bill had approached us about, something, oh, gosh. I read it too and I can't remember, but he'd approached us about the development of program within his. And I'd like for him to, you know, maybe at the next meeting, talk to us about that, if he accepts.
Yep.
I'd
That'd be
like
great.
to hear about it.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Who did the second?
One thing, Kenny, I mean, you're gonna be gone, so. I think the 4 of us right now feel that we are in agreement with this.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
So,
I
if
mean,
you get in and you get going on and on and on, and you think that you're muddying the waters by saying that you don't want him to get this salary or whatever, you know, maybe he's gonna walk.
okay, well, I gotta say this, it's not a question of what I want. If you as a board, you know, if you end up doing this, I am advising you that there's a high probability that the teachers union is gonna agree to it, because. And it
Why
would
would
affect-
they?
it
He's
would-
dropping his
okay,
insurance.
Okay, why would they? And I'll answer that question. Because the salary scale affects everybody the same based on years of experience and level of education, so it affects all of them. So conceivably, and correct me if I'm wrong, former union representative, and current Kathy, you're hiding, I'm sorry Kathy, you're the current union representative. You're not just looking at a grievance on one person, you're looking at a grievance on the group. So conceivably, if
So
somebody
you
is.
guys wouldn't, you guys aren't totally against it, though.
We're not against, Joanne.
Are you against?
What do you want, in using insurance for salary?
Yes.
Okay, and let me go on public record. I like Mr. Ashton, support Mr. Ashton. But as a former union president, I've been here long enough, 37 years, that not once when other people have wanted to use insurance for salary, they weren't allowed to do it because there's a language contract in the contract that says something very specific. You don't want insurance.
So I have to say, let's not use anybody's name
No.
anymore, because the camera's running. But in the case of a grievance, if somebody is advanced an unusual number of steps, then all of the teachers as a group could ask for the same advancement in order to settle a grievance. I've seen things like this happen. And the reason they can
They all
do,
wanna drop their insurance?
the reason they can do that is because the salary scale affects all of them. And I have to say that we should suspend further discussion until I can meet with this employee.
All right, so the discussion on Billy Ashby is done for now. We've done our part. Let's consider a discussion on busing for next year.
Yes, as I have announced already, I've accepted the resignation of Patty Dealman, which means we have to think about how to get our high school students to WA. Tina, do you have any recent information on this?
I do, I just spoke, so John Case turned in his application,
Ooh,
and he had to talk with his financial advisors and that type of stuff. He can pretty much, this is gonna sound weird, guarantee us the morning run. September, October, November, maybe some of December, and then April, May, June, because he plows, he has big contracts in snow plowing. And he can't let his bus driver piece interfere with that. So kind of a solution, part of a solution, not really a solution.
It's a part-time, he's more or less like a
Right, so
part-time
he
position.
can't guarantee me Monday through Friday for the whole school year. The winter months could get a little funky.
Well, we'd be further ahead than where we would be if we only had two.
It's a start. I would like us to think about if we only had two. And I'm gonna say it, and I know it's not popular, but our K-8 children come before our high school children.
So let me ask a question. You said you have this gentleman's application.
Yes.
This has come in recently. I haven't seen it.
Yesterday,
So does this person have the right license?
Yes.
CHRC,
yes.
these things?
He would need to be fingerprinted, but he has tons of licenses.
Joe's
His
bus for years.
father and his brother Pete Case, Gucci Case, they all drove the bus for years.
Okay,
He's driven
he-
for Campobello, he
Campobello.
drives a fire truck.
okay, so just so the group knows,
Yes.
it doesn't require a board vote to hire support staff, so I can hire the bus driver. So conceivably, this is on here so you understand from Tina that transportation in the wintertime could be a little sticky.
And you know, I would leave it open. I would just keep that,
I mean,
That-
he
that
may not
position-
have to plow in the mornings.
right, but I mean, I would leave it
Yeah,
open
it's
for
10 months.
at least substitute bus drivers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we
You
have to
know.
get some substitutes.
So-
Somebody may get sick.
So with Ms. Dealman resigning, I can hire this gentleman, and as long as the board understands that there may have to be some scheduling, whatever in the wintertime.
did
Right.
somebody else, Tina, I thought we had another bus driver in the works too, they were talking about
I
somebody
haven't
else.
received, that's the only
Yeah.
application I've received is from John.
Does he have an American license or Canadian license to drive it on this site?
He said the licenses are reciprocal.
CDL probably.
That would, then you'd have to check with the insurance to see if it's also reciprocal.
Somebody's gonna check with it, I'm not.
Well, no, as an employee, he would come under our insurance. The question of whether or not the license is reciprocal is the question.
Right.
And I just don't know, but I can find out.
Yeah.
So do we wanna do no action and let me do a little research, and if the chips fall our way, like I can issue a contract, and the next superintendent at the next meeting will formally appoint him. Is that fair?
Okay, so we need
You wanna
to,
talk with me later?
do we need to vote on,
Because he can't get locked.
Say
Not
Oh,
voting.
okay, it's no action, and
Okay,
no vote?
we'll talk some more.
So we can say no action, but let's say this falls through, and we only have two bus drivers come September, Paul and Shelley.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to be thinking of something.
We
We gotta
need to
be-
get a van so someone can drive it.
Well, but that's like what I was saying in the other hearing, Joanne, if we had parents sitting right here saying it was unsafe.
yeah.
Machias donated the driver and a van for, remember last, and they didn't like it.
I mean, I don't want to see little kids get up and have to get on a bus at 6 o'clock in the morning to accommodate the high school. I don't. It's not what's best for children.
Okay, so, shall we move on to consider discussion on the budget?
Does everybody have a copy?
So come August, you'll still
Okay.
have this same issue on your plate.
Yep.
So let us turn to facilities maintenance.
Page,
Do you want me to get, do
Page
you want me
10 maybe?
to-
Yeah.
Draft number one.
I got one home, I just didn't bring it.
We got a new one today.
Okay.
Oh, you got another new one over
I
there?
do.
That's first. That's three.
let's see, the ocean
Yes, thank you.
That's four. Or is it two?
Okay, so, happy to say, bids were competitive, you accepted one for $495. Everybody look, where it's, middle of the bottom paragraph, you can find a $100,000 line item where it says construction services building. I don't think we need 100,000 there, obviously. I suggested moments ago to put 60 on the line, and what that would allow is this, it would allow hypothetically for a 10-year payback, because if it's $495 over 10 years, that's gonna be a payment of $49.5 plus some interest. You know, if it's 3%, 4%, whatever it may be, your payment's gonna be $54,000 or $55,000. If you put 60 on the line, we can cover it, is what I'm getting at.
This is,
Taking 40,000.
Yeah.
so we dropped below 200,000, 189. Probably 91.
For what I've seen down there and what I know of what I've seen in that whole entire building, I'd like to see that number be 625,000 instead of 600.
Okay, so,
And my reason for that is we have other work in that building that needs to be addressed, rather, it's not just
Yeah.
the roof. And rather than nickel and dime each line item that we have,
okay,
that we still are well within savings of what we originally thought was gonna be 960 or $1 million. And we could possibly get some extra work done on the whole entire building for less money.
right, so I mean, I could put 62.5 on that line and take out 37.5, if you're wondering what that would look like. If you look just on the inside of the front cover, if you take 199 minus 37.5, you're gonna be somewhere around 160, and that's less than a mil. Good.
Are you leaving enough in for the possible insulation replacement, the $495?
I figured that one time, the 55. With 600 on the 625. I added
Yeah,
55,
so we did-
55 in,
Yeah, so we did,
plus,
Okay,
which would brought it to 550.
okay,
And $75,000 more for any other maintenance and repairs to the entire building outside of the roof that is not foreseen.
okay. Thank you.
But that's just me, that's just my opinion.
okay, so we're amending the budget. Can you summarize how we're gonna amend the budget?
So if you cut that line from 100,000 down to 62.5, as Dickie has just suggested,
Okay,
I would reduce the 199, 481 figure by 37.5. And that's gonna get you right around 160, whatever it works out to be. 160 is less than a mil, it's like 0.8 something. 160 divided by 177 is what we give to you. And that will immediately drop taxation by that corresponding $37,500. So there's an immediate savings. That gets you below a mil.
okay.
There was an aggressive list here in facilities maintenance of things that need to be done. And I agree with Dickie, I think we're moving in the right direction, and I would like to continue to do the punch list. Just get them taken care of, knock them out.
Yeah, stop kicking the can down the road.
You know, that being said, if you wanna do those things, then you can reduce your budget by that 37.5 and leave the rest of it intact, and you're under a mil. Do you think, as a group, all of you, do you think that there's support in the community for 0.86?
Well, I think for starters, they're gonna be happier with this roof bit,
Yeah.
a lot
That's
happier
true.
with that,
That's true.
yeah.
What was the adjustment that came down here? We met with a few
Yeah.
times.
Right, I can't.
Andy?
Yes,
You mean-
right.
I met with Andy numerous times down here and talked with him on the phone numerous times about this. And I'm kind of surprised that they say they're gonna drop us because their recommendations was to go back to the same exact roof style and the same type of roofing that we had, because we've gotten as long as we have out of it without any major problems and whatnot. So I just find it that, you know, we have an incident like that, and as far as I'm concerned, I don't think they stepped up to the plate nowhere near as much as they should have to help us in costs for this thing. So, I mean, for them to say they're gonna drop us, then, I mean, who knows, but their recommendations through insurance and past history and everything was to go for the same style as it was that. Now, I know we rejected the steel part of it because of what we was talking about, and went by the recommendations, is that we structurally don't have on that roof down there to hold steel there also. So that was part of the reasoning within the system of setting this up and wanting to know why we was gonna go with what we went with, and to get 30 to 50 more years, or however, I mean, we've got a long time out of that building down there. So I'm pleased with the time that we did get. I mean, I was a very young kid when we started down there, to 50 years old now, so I mean, it goes to tell you how long we actually got out of it. If we can get somewhere close to that again, great.
That was about 76, I think, when
I
they
think
built
so.
that part.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
So I think the taxpayers here would be pleased with where we've gone, finally settled with this, out of what we initially was looking at, when it could have been $1 million.
So we'd amend it, what's the motion to amend it to what, Mr. Johnson?
can we vote on it as amended?
Yes, you can accept it as amended, and the amendment would be just to lower it by that 37.5. What you make the building construction services line 62.5 and adopt as amended, and that'll take care of it. We'll have my office redo the math, issue clean copies,
Okay,
and then we will proceed with this process using that budget.
okay, so do I have a motion?
I'll do that.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
So that was Wanda and Joanne. No, Joanne motion, who seconded?
Linda.
37.
Building maintenance line, roof line.
Yeah, building the roof line as amended.
Okay, so, let's consider scheduling the hearing for the roof referendum and school budget vote.
Okay, now I've got a sample motion language here from our attorneys, and we can just drop it right in. I've got it flagged where we all need to sign. Crazy, but there it is.
You know, Tina, the athletic policy, because I put that in Bill consent for us to work on that one, and you didn't say that one, did you?
Yeah, you voted on all three of them,
Yeah.
athletic, student, and staff.
Yeah, I didn't hear the athletic, but when the bill comes back, we let him just review it, look at it.
We can always address it however, whenever. It's not gonna be on top of the list anyway.
No, it's just something I didn't get.
Yeah.
How'd they get that in there in the first place? So these bids, where do these bids reside? Do you,
I take them back with me.
okay.
Okay, I got something here.
We can take it together and put it and stuff it in there, so.
Get it
Okay.
back.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll be there, don't we?
That one, I'm glad I'm not a town manager.
You know,
Aha, okay, that's it. There's a sample motion right at,